Oh, folks, I wanted to go over something in light of all the news and everything else, and of course, news places can make all the panic they possibly want to do, right? Well, what we're doing as a messed up people is not working. It's just going to make things worse, and then it's going to continue to show our children that it's okay to be racist. So let's not do that. Now, what am I talking about? I know. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me at all. I'm only going to try to enlighten you just a little bit to what we're missing. Human lives matter. If you've got to put any kind of ethnic group or any kind of racial condition or anything else in what you're trying to prove shouldn't be racial, you can't have racism in any recipe in which you want to take care of a racial issue. You just can't. Why would you march to a racial declaration saying that things are happening because of a racial issue when that's exactly what you're fighting? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. Racial should never be part of any recipe dealing with raciality. It defeats the purpose. It gives the wrong signal. And not only that, you get yourself a government that does a knee-jerk reaction. They'll just respond to your raciality and say that they were righteous in doing so. Won't get the result you want, will it? Look, it's really quite simple. Human lives matter. All right? Let me just reduce myself down here a little bit. All right? Because I'm not looking to be famous or anything. I'm just trying to put out a little message here that folks out there seem to be missing. All right? It does. My goodness. Folks, you ought to be cluing this in. Really. Seriously. All right? Look. Human lives matter. If you're wanting to be treated as a human, you can't say that the problem is because you're this group, that group, or another. You can't, because then it throws off from your intended change. And I'll say it again. Why would you march to a racial declaration? Black Lives Matter. Okay, so what about me? I'm quite Caucasian here. Does mine matter any less? I would hope not. But when you say Black Lives Matter, then the only people that walk in your group are likely going to match what's on your sign. Why would you march to a racial declaration when it's the racial things that are the very problem that you're fighting? It wouldn't work. A good thing to do, though, because I understand what you're upset about and everything else, and you know what? Well, even for me, handcuff you, uptrain the blue. If you and I were working at a banana packaging plant and all of a sudden I started mashing bananas every now and then, but you weren't, you would probably go to the boss and complain that I'm the one mashing the bananas, it's not you. So then I would be uptrained. I wouldn't be fired, I would be uptrained. Hey, here's how you don't mash the packaging. And then everything would be fine from then on. Notice I didn't say, well, I'm a Caucasian and you're not, so you just pack it different. See, I didn't put anything racial into the recipe for the cure. It doesn't belong there. Neither should you put it there. I'll say it again. Why would you march to a racial declaration or in a racial manner when it's the racial things you're trying to change? Human lives matter. My goodness. Handcuff you. Uptrain the blue. Uptrain the blue. If they're messing up, train them not to mess up. Did you know that when an officer places handcuffs on an individual, he's entirely responsible for the person he has his cuffs on? You can look it up. It's a matter of public record, public regulation. It's not limited to just those wearing blue. Anyone who restrains or cuffs another individual is responsible for their entire well-being. Now I'll tell you this: if I cuff you and you're yelling and cussing at me and everything else and hollering at me and everything else, it doesn't do any good to yell at me in the full extent of your voice that you can't breathe because you just drew that bunch of air to yell at me. Kind of see the logic there? Now, if you suddenly become quiet, which would take me, myself, in my own experience, about 5 seconds to recognize, because the last thing I want you to do is be sitting there going, friggin', hollering at me, and then all of a sudden it's quiet. I'm checking you. Because I'm responsible for your well-being, because it's my cuffs you're wearing. Uptrain the blue so that they learn this again. Hey, insist that it's made mandatory. You're either a go or a no-go at this station. Hey, I use that in a lot of what I say because of this. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. If you're a go or a no-go on a test, you either passed or you failed. It's very cut and dry. So when you uptrain them on their cuffing policy, they either pass or they do not. And frankly, if they do not, they can either recycle back through the course until they get it or bye-bye. But never, ever, people, come on. Abraham Lincoln said it best himself. He said, the generation that's in the schools today will be the generation of our government tomorrow. So if we're busy using racial concoctions in our cure for racial things, our schools will be filled with the children seeing what recipe we're fixing, and that will continue the problem. Don't continue the problem. Not even at your own home. I challenge you to do this, moms and dads. Go home and ask your children, when they're in the lunchroom, how do they sit? And I want you to have a good conversation of why that is. You'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll see what you need to do. That's all I'm going to say. If you're truly against racism, this will bother you. Now, with that said, never, ever mix a racial ingredient to cure a racial problem. It doesn't work. Because you're putting the problem back into circulation. Let's not do that, folks. We're better than that. We all are. If we just take a moment. That might be the case. Human lives matter. That bald-headed idiot might have something in mind.